7:29:70.
Sons with God. Therefore, we would tell thee again of thy prayer, and we would tell thee of a time of prayer. We would tell thee of the time of Judas and the betraying of one known as Jesus. And in telling you of these things, thy might guide thy own lives. These things did happen with Judas because they were of the written word, not only of a written word, but they were the things that would happen that Jesus, or Christ, would take the last steps necessary to end his plans, and therefore to stand at the right of his Father forever and evermore. Now Judas saw many things and many wonders, and many miracles performed before him. Now Judas was the keeper of the purse. Therefore, to him all things were trusted into him. Therefore, when he betrayed, as I would say, Jesus, he did so in thinking that Jesus would be forced into the position of revealing himself as a material king of the Jewish people. Therefore, what he did not know and was soon to learn, it was not for a material world that Jesus would rule, but a spiritual world. He had no desire for the material things of life. These he had learned before. These he had possessed before. He knew of all things in the past, and by knowing of these things in his past, he also knew of the things in his future, and therefore could speak of the things of his future. Can thou understand of which we speak? Nay, not fully. Then we would say to you in these words, as I would call this one the betrayer, he therefore did not betray. Therefore, he only did what was necessary at God's command. But we would say then of those who would betray their brother in heart and soul, If thou should betray thy brother for silver or material things, then thou shalt be betrayed. If thou should lie to thy brother, then thou shalt be lied to. If thou should covet thy brother, then thou shalt be coveted. All things that have been done before into others because of yourself shall be done unto you. Therefore, think of Jesus, that all things were done into him, which he had done into others. And therefore, he too also had this lesson to learn, that he then might become a son of God. Now, as we have told you before of the beginning, and the beginning and beginnings of beginnings, now on your world plane we would talk of the beginning as if in five places at once. Can they? No. No. One moment, please. Then put in the words of our Father, that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth and all that in it. And knowing of this, therefore, Jesus overcome in his own way his karma. He did so in a way that his Father did not have to lead him as a Judas goat or as a leader goat. He did so in his own way, and therefore he may stand by our Father. Can thou understand these words?
I think so, Vodka.
Then we would go back to the time of Judas again. And Judas took of his own life. And by taking of his own life, therefore he created a karma for himself again. Now I would say, in which way did Judas go after that? This we could tell thee in a different time, as permission is given. But remember, do not misinterpret our words, for by misinterpreting our words and twisting them to meet thy own ends, thou art creating a new karma. Take of these as they should mean to you in thy heart and thy soul. Do not add from or take away from any of this. For we, as we have said before, are here to prepare a way for the Messiah. that he may enter into thy will, and as he enters on this earth, so shall it be in heaven. For at that time it shall become God's time. And remember this, our Lord shall have the last word in all things. Now I have of questions for Soul Bartholomew. We would say of this: we shall answer thy question, for we feel at this time that by easing material things, thy may go on with our work. Therefore, we would say to you in this way: you really have no problem, for the answer is in thy own mind. If thou go to market and trade, as I would call a rooster for a goat, and in this trade thou do not have the necessary funds to pay the difference between the rooster and the goat, then thou can either do one of two things: do without the goat, or if the goat is important in thy daily life, then first take thy rooster and build it up till it meets the requirements of the goat. Therefore, take of the one home as I would call on a long-term lease to others. By doing this, therefore mortgaging the first home, the funds that I need would be there for the second home, and therefore preparing a way for funds thereafter. We also see, though, that if I would but ask the one close, the funds are already there. And in thy own mind they know of the one we speak of to ask. Now, we also see Soul Bartholomew with another problem. We would say of this, Soul Bartholomew: thou should be the master of thy home, but do it in a way that both souls involved are part of the home. We would say also here, each soul that is born unto you, you are responsible for, and the guidance of such. Therefore, there is a time that is necessary. We would say it in a word more lacking to your own. Spoil the child. This is not good. Therefore, if thou spare the rod, this is not good. Placing both together and making them work as one. Guidance and discipline are necessary. Without these, remember, this soul and each of these souls that are placed in your care, you are held responsible. This comes from the commandment, honor thy father and mother. Therefore, now, we see the mind of Soul Andrew a question. We have told you before the problem that I have created. We advised you at that time against taking certain steps. The one I seek is the same one. Therefore, we should say no more. Now, we have here, so Peter, yes, one moment. At this time, this information shall not be given to you in full. Your third dream shall be in completion. Then, at that time, if I fully do not understand, ask again, and we shall answer. But remember, we are preparing a way in thee. For, as once before, you were told, if I have the faith to walk on water, then why do you not have the faith to heal? And healing is in many ways. Can I understand of which we speak?
Yes, Uncle.
Now, we have here the body, the soul, and the spirit of Soul Margaret. This thou must understand in thy reading, because of the karmic action involved here with Soul Ray. Certain information we cannot give. Therefore, proportions of your reading cannot be given. Therefore, the beginning we may not give. This plane must be omitted. Your next entry was in the time of Atlantis. From Atlantis, this is all the information on Atlantis we may give you. Other than your next entry was in Egypt. This is all on this entry we may give you. Your next entry is in a land known as, at this time, as Indonesia. At this time, again, we may not give this information. Your next entry, again, what is now known, was in the city of Bethlehem. This information cannot be given you. We can tell you of another entry. This entry was during the early voyages, is what is known as the Americans continent. And again, this information we cannot give. We would tell thee only that thy have been chosen at this time for a task, that thou must remember thy marriage vows and every proportion of these marriage vows. They were given to you differently for a purpose. They were given to you that thou mightst walk tall by thy husband. Thou must help him in the completion of his mission upon this earth. He shall be used, and you shall be used as our instrument. If thou do not walk, as I would say, backward, but walk forward with this man, then thy blessings from our Father and yours, who in your heart you know better than you think you do. Remember this, I have always loved our Father. If thou wilt study these readings and do not misinterpret the words, this is a task we give you which will be harder than for most. For your reward, in some ways, shall be bigger than most. For your task shall be a hard task. For many shall come, and many shall ask. But we would tell you this much. These words, and the one who asked our Father, and the ones we are preparing a way for, is, as I would call it, Jesus Christ. And we bestow upon thee this mighty task. We know that at times our hearts shall grow heavy from it. but I love thy Father, and he loves thee. This shall be all at this time on Soul Margaret. Ask them, for soul gray grows weak.
Anka, at this time, do we have time? Soul Terry asks for the life reading on her son Jimmy.
Not at this time. At another reading, we would suggest at this time the awakened soul away from his slumber.